Hi, this is Joanne Factor with Strategic Living Safety and Self Defense Training. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about socialization um, in a very concrete example. Socialization can be an abstract concept, and we're going to kind of put it in human form. A few years ago, I taught two pretty short classes at a local high school. This school had set aside some time to bring in community experts for extracurricular programming. And this was took place over, I think, the course of a week, and students selected which classes they wanted to attend. My two classes were identical, or rather, they should have been. Both were for older high school students, priority given to seniors. Both were mixed gender, although mostly girls. Both had between 20 and 25 students participating. Both had the same class outline, same activities, same discussion topics. Both were even in the same room. One of the school's teachers sat in on the classes, sort of as a proctor. Now, as I mentioned, both classes were mostly girls and there were a few boys. Now, in the first class, though, the girls were quite giggly, very reluctant to show any kind of competence, especially in physical skills such as doing a palm heel strike to a mitt. And they kept looking around as if to see who was watching. Now, there are a couple of the boys who were more vocal than average in a participatory way. It's not like there was mansplaining going on, or boys interrupting girls, or boys making disparaging comments about girls. That was not going on, and yet the girls' participation was still in a very self conscious manner. Now, the second class was different. Similar size, there were just a couple of fewer kids, similar gender distribution, but different dynamics. In this class, there was a lot less giggling. Everyone seemed to participate in all the activities, including the basic striking the mid kind of skills and striving to do well. No single person or little cluster of people stood out as oversharing. Now, after the two classes, I chatted a bit with the room's teacher. I brought up my observations of the different group dynamics, and she thought the difference was in the specific participants. The first class included some of the popular boys who admired, who she thought of as good kids, but their opinions were given greater weight by other students. Even if they weren't like leaders per se, they had followers. Now, the boys in the second class were also well liked, but they were not the popular kids. Aren't group dynamics interesting? Now, combine group dynamics and safety. How does that combination impact learning safety skills? So, I've always had socialization as a class topic, and since then I've expanded that conversation, especially now with classes being online. Socialization is what behavior is rewarded in a social way or punished. It kind of shapes you. Peer pressure. For girls, well, not just girls. I asked them to think about a time when they wanted to say no or set a boundary, but they didn't. What were the barriers? Did they not want to seem rude? Did they not want to seem like mean? Did they not want people talking about them in a kind of gossipy sort of way? Were they afraid of disappointing somebody? Did they feel guilty about saying no? How much of that is social pressure? We are social creatures. We look to others for validation, for acceptable behavior, for standards, for boundaries. So, if you're hanging out with a few friends and classmates or coworkers, and you say something maybe you thought was kind of funny, but a couple of people are on the edge of the little group kind of roll their eyes, and one murmurs something to the person next to them, and they kind of drift off, and subsequently you notice some other people kind of like not really, seeking you out for engaging in conversation. They're kind of giving you the cold shoulder. You kind of talk to them, but it's in a very superficial way, and it looks like, oh, they're done. They just walk off, and then minimizing their interactions with you. You're going to notice that. That kind of social sanctioning can be really powerful. Never underestimate the need to fit in. While this is mostly connected with teens, at least in media and popular culture, it impacts all age groups in varying degrees and all genders. Sometimes social pressure and your needs for safety are at odds. They don't work together. And part of your safety planning is in recognizing those kind of situations, navigating them, and making honest and accountable to yourself choices, which is not always easy because you feel that you have to give up something, and maybe at that moment you have to. So this is Joanne Factor with Strategic Living, Safety, and Self-Defense. We have classes coming up, and even if you don't see the class that you want, contact me, because we are doing private at this time. We're in early October of 2020, and everything is online because of the pandemic, but we're doing custom classes for people. So contact me. My information is in the video description. So stay safe and live life.